We tend to model human stress like a simple mechanical scale. When an external problem hits, your internal tension spikes. When you solve the problem and remove the weight, the tension is supposed to disappear immediately. But human cognition does not operate on a one-to-one mechanical ratio. Solving a problem in the real world does not instantly clear the tension in your mind. Instead, there is a measurable gap, a temporal lag between the objective resolution of a task and your subjective feeling of relief. While external tasks might disappear in an instant, our internal psychological state acts more like a viscous fluid. The brain retains a memory of its own physiological stress. This subjective strain lingers, decaying slowly over time rather than vanishing on command. Because the nervous system cannot simply dump this residual tension into the void, it relies on delayed alternative mechanisms to process the load. To quantify this delay, researchers use the Brain Kinematics Model. We start by calculating the objective strain. This is the actual load of daily inputs, the emails, deadlines, and conflicts, offset by how quickly you resolve them. As we see, objective strain is the previous day's load plus new inputs minus successfully resolved tasks. But subjective strain requires two additional variables. Lambda represents viscoelastic memory, the resistance to dropping back to rest, and DFT is discharge, the biological release valve. Lambda makes the brain sticky. Even if you finish every task, your nervous system remembers the elevated cortisol and heightened vigilance. This mathematical floor suggests that the system requires a secondary channel to clear the energy surplus, a biological valve specifically designed for delayed discharge. The Brain Kinematics Model defines mood as an active system control parameter, serving as a real-time proxy for your current level of subjective strain. It operates as a dynamic gain function for your entire nervous system. In this feedback loop, undischarged strain feeds directly into your background mood. That mood then widens the funnel, dictating your exact sensitivity to entirely new stressors. When your background strain is high, your cognitive system overinterprets minor daily inputs. A misplaced set of keys suddenly registers as a crisis. The psychological weight of any incoming problem is mathematically multiplied by this ratio of your current mood relative to your maximum tolerance. Mood regulates how you will process tomorrow's strain, amplifying or dampening incoming data before it even registers in your conscious mind. We can map out how this lag behaves over a multi-day timeline using a framework called the global strain arc. This chart tracks an 18-day strain field, objective load in blue, subjective strain in orange, perceived stress in green. In the first 5 days, the accumulation phase, problems pile up and all curves rise. Around day 6, the blue line peaks, entering cognitive compression. The mind is working aggressively to process the mounting uncertainty. It loops through logic and analysis, but fails to reach actual closure. Now watch what happens between days 8 and 11. The blue curve drops sharply as external tasks are finally completed. But look at the shaded vertical band. The orange curve, the subjective strain, remains significantly elevated, entirely decoupled from the objective reality of the blue line. That specific visual gap is the temporal lag in action, and that gap provides the primary window where the brain is forced to trigger delayed dream discharge. To see exactly how this manifests, researchers captured a case study of 2 specific dreams. The first dream, D1, occurs right at the peak of cognitive compression. Here, on day 6, the first dashed line hits exactly when the objective task load is at its maximum. In this dream, the subject is at a workplace ceremony. They are trapped in a tight, inward-looking cycle. When logic fails to provide a clear answer in waking life, the strain gets trapped in the prefrontal domains. Over the next few days, the real-world tasks are finished. The social ambiguity is clarified. Yet the subjective internal strain has not completely dissipated. Looking at day 11, the blue task curve is low, but the orange strain curve still carries significant weight. This triggers the second dream. The phenomenology shifts radically. Now the dreamer is flying over walls, being chased, and physically striking an opponent. There's no polite searching anymore. It's pure, high-impact action. The strain has migrated away from the logic-heavy prefrontal cortex and directly into the sensory motor networks. We can map this on a strain transformation ladder. The social doubt from the first dream converts directly into physical aggression in the second. This second dream is a functional, kinetic discharge. It burns off the residual energy that logic alone could not clear. This discharge becomes especially intense when problems are solved accidentally, a process called passive resolution. If a task simply resolves itself without your effort, your brain never internally traverses the steps required to solve it. The electrical current effectively bypasses the normal cognitive maze and surges straight into a volatile holding state, trapped with nowhere to go. Because the cognitive pathway was skipped, the system relies heavily on the dream state to finalize the processing. This explains that lingering sense of unfinished business you feel when a major project is abruptly canceled rather than completed. The dream steps in to complete the missing psychological circuitry. By tracking the decay rate of this subjective strain, the Brain Kinematics Model can actually predict the architecture of future dreams. Looking at the third dashed line between days 16 and 18, we can forecast a stabilization dream. As the system settles, the aggressive chases disappear. A dream in this phase features open spaces, neutral figures, and the simple completion of a task. Once the subjective strain finally returns to its baseline, the system's mood sensitivity resets, and resilience is fully restored. But this psychological equilibrium is never a permanent destination. It is a continuous oscillation. The entire 18-day arc is just one wave. Eventually, the cycle of accumulation begins again. The mind behaves like a complex array of pendulums, absorbing new inputs, drifting out of phase, and slowly finding its way back to a temporary harmony. Dreams are the thermodynamic exhaust of a viscoelastic brain, continually negotiating the balance between the demands of reality and the physics of the mind.